Okay, so everybody's talking about this debate, but I wanted to address just one point, um, one tactic that Andrew Wilson keeps using that about logic, the foundations of logic, in which he's completely wrong, but because uh, most people don't know about logic, he keeps getting away with it. But I just wanted to really debunk uh, this tactic that he keeps using. So let's see.
I want to do it for the
That's
state.
propositionally false, and
That is not
I'll
propositionally
explain
false.
exactly how. It is the case that every proposition is going to have a true or false conclusion, period. That's just logic, right? It's the law of excluded middle. All propositions are going to be true or they're going to be false. When we get into when we're making an
Yes, that is true, but he's completely uh, missing the point. So uh, what he does, he I've seen him doing this many times. He invokes like the laws of logic. Like, oh, you don't know the laws of logic. How can you not know such a basic concept? Well, that's because it doesn't exist. What he's talking about is the laws of thought. And if you do a basic um, Google search, you're gonna find that this is a dated expression. Like, yes, there are three laws of thought uh, mainly, but you can very quickly see among contemporary logicians, the expression laws of thought is widely regarded as obsolete. One of the main reasons is that they have no foundational status and they apply only in classical logic, basically. So, classical logic is like high school logic, it's not something anybody in modern logic uses. So, if you search Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy about the topic, you're gonna find that there isn't one kind of logic. There is more than one correct logic. In fact, logic itself is kind of wrong because it's actually logics. Logics are theories of validity. Different logics disagree of which forms are valid, and if you search for how many kind of logics there are like dozens. Classical logic is just one kind, and in fact, there's many sub kinds. So yeah, like this law of excluded middle only applies to that subset of logics. Here's an article about many valued logic, and you can see true and false is just classical logic, but there's many other kinds of logic that don't use that. To name a few, you have fuzzy logic, you have modal logic, tree-valued logic. So there's a whole. I'm not gonna go through all of the details, but in none of these logics, the law of excluded middle applies. So what Andrew Wilson wants to say is that there's only two possible uh, values that you can have. Either somebody is guilty or they are innocent. There's nothing in the middle. So that is true. Uh, that the reality, but we don't have access to reality. Nobody does. So in terms of beliefs, I think that there. Well, I forgot the term, but Dexel. I forgot the term, but basically there are many positions that you can take about beliefs. So you have guilty, innocent, and unknown. Those are the basics. Three. So the reality may be binary. Like you flip a coin, either it's heads or tails. Somebody's guilty or innocent. But that doesn't mean that we know that. And that's the whole endeavor of epistemology. How can we know what is true? So one of the most famous films uh, about this kind of stuff is 12 Angry Men, in which one juror basically says like, I'm not certain that this person is guilty. I cannot show that he's innocent either, but that's the thing, like, do I have to? Like, I'm just not sure. And yeah, like he keeps nailing down like, okay, um, is it true or is it not? It can only be one of the of two. But no, you can actually be uncertain. You can say like, I don't know. It could be true, it could not, maybe it could not be true. I don't know. So this kind of logic will not stand in a court of law. You can say, I don't know if he's guilty and I don't know if he's innocent. That's fine because a court of law uses doesn't uses this binary logic. A lot of people think that not guilty is the same as innocent, but that's not true. Again, a quick Google search will show you that is not true. So Andrew Wilson wants to simplify and says either something is true or it isn't true. That is the law of excluded middle, as if that was some kind of a valid way of thinking in 2026. It's not. That is high school level logic that it has long been abandoned. Um, you can't just say, I don't know. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it isn't true. So, yeah, that's it. He keeps bringing these laws of logic. There's no such thing. There isn't even one logic. There's many types of logic. He's just invoking classical logic, which is like high school level logic, and I don't know how he keeps getting away with that. Like nobody knows about logic, so he doesn't challenge him on that. But anyway, yeah, this is just bullshit high school level stuff. All right.